Hey everybody, this is Other Side of Hurt podcast. In this podcast, we talk about some of the more difficult things in life. We interview people who are going through suffering and great tragedy, but we also try to find where there is hope and meaning and beauty, even in the most difficult things in life. So we're glad you're joining us today. We're going to try to drop one of these about once a week, at least for the time coming. And so please share these videos, like, subscribe. Thanks for joining us. We're going to dive right into today's topic. Hey everybody, I am here with a very good friend of mine. This is Denny Plummer, and we have known each other for a lot of years, and he's agreed to come on and just share some of the stuff that's going on in his life. So Denny, let's just talk a little bit of, I've known you for, probably...
What, 20 years?
20 years, probably.
Yeah.
You've been a part of Riverview, so I was your pastor up until this last year. And Denny and his wife Sherry have just been good friends of Jill and mine for a number of years. And so, and you moved up. When did you kind of retired up to this area, right?
We retired up here from the Wilmer area about 12 years ago, but we were already familiar with the area because we had a little cabin north of Pine River since 1972. So you're looking at 50 years where we would come up here in summers, and we would attend Riverview at those times also. But yeah, it's been only 12 years since we've lived here full time. We have a house in near Breezy Point. So.
And you, so you were summer residents for most, because your career was in education. You were
That's
a teacher.
Correct. Yep.
So what'd you tell us a little bit about your career?
Yeah. After I graduated from Calvin University in Michigan, I had never attended a Christian school in my life until Calvin, but I started getting nudged that, boy, it would be nice to teach in a Christian school if possible. And I really didn't know much about Christian schools. But I was a biology major, chemistry minor. And you know what? There's not a whole lot of Christian schools, high schools in Minnesota. And none of them had an opening at that time. But one in northern Iowa did. So I spent 10 years teaching in Unity Christian High School in Orange City, Iowa. And then found an opening in one in Minnesota. So I spent the next 33 years in Central Minnesota Christian High School in Princeburg, which is out in west central Minnesota near Wilmer. So 43 years teaching in two Christian schools. It was busy and it was great. I basically taught 5 classes every day. I would teach chemistry, biology, human physiology, wildlife conservation, and physical science. So I didn't get bored, maybe got burned out, but I didn't get bored. It was a really, really good career.
It was a good career, but let's be honest, your real career is like hunting and fishing and outdoors. Like, I mean, you've taken us fishing a number of times. This is like one of your passions is an outdoorsman. And
yeah, I tried various summer jobs, which I was absolutely atrocious at. I can't build anything. I can't fix anything. I can't do anything like that. But I always loved to fish, was doing a lot of it. And one day Sherry just said, you know, would you ever think of taking people out and actually charging them? And things did fall into place. I mean, I just have to tell you how the Lord worked absolutely so many, I still call them miracles, but just the way he has orchestrated so many steps in my life, including becoming a fishing guide. So yeah, for I think 44 years, I've been a fishing guide. Started for walleyes, then went to walleye and northern, then walleye and northern and bass, and got bit pretty bad by the bass bug. So primarily I guide for bass, but just one little short clip to show you how God has provided for me even there. There is no way I could be considered a top-notch guide or even a top-notch fisherman. I can't say that. But I have built a career out of really being able to show a lot of people how to have fun catching fish. And I went through a marine dealer back in the Wilmer area when I started guiding. I borrowed money from the bank and went out and bought a new boat and motor and the equipment because a good friend of mine said, hey, if you're going to do this, you got to do it right. And you can't start, without having the proper equipment. The bottom line, that marine dealer was impressed enough that he basically gave me 35 new boats in my career.
What?
And I mean without any money exchanging hands.
You would replace the boat every year, just like
every year in November, I would
Wow.
bring my boat back into him. He'd clean it up and sell it to someone else, and he'd order a brand new one: boat, motor, trailer, depth finder, canvas, whatever I wanted. And we never spent a dime until several years ago when that deal finally fell through and I had to buy a boat. But
What a blessing.
that is not because of my skill. That's the way God did it again. It's just incredible.
That's great. Well, you've taught me everything I know about fishing, which is not a lot, but the little bit that I do know, I've gleaned from the several times that you and Sherry have taken us out. Because I'm not a native Minnesotan, so I've had
Right.
I've had to learn the ways of fishing. And I like what you said about like your summer jobs, like you couldn't build it. Like I feel that way. Like I have like very few marketable skills. Like
Yeah.
most of mine are in like, pastoral ministry and this kind of stuff. And so I'm not sure what I would do if I had like the summers to work on stuff. I would not do all that successfully, but
No.
no, it's good. And so we've known each other for years because you were up here in the summers, and then you've relocated here in retirement. And one of the things, just to give anybody who's watching this context, is Denny and Sherry have just kind of adopted our kids as
their
surrogate
grandkids.
grandkids. Yeah, surrogate grandparents for my family's 1,000 miles away, and Jill's family has definitely been involved. But like just as far as a local family, and so one of the things, like one of the special places for my life with Denny and Sherry is in the days after our daughter Maria died. My family was pretty far away, and Jill's mother was pretty ill with cancer treatments at the time, and so Denny and Sherry just like moved into our house for it was about 3 days, I would think.
Right.
And we were just such an utter shock, and you guys jumped in and just like loved our kids and kept them distracted, and
Well, we weren't strangers to the kids. We
Yeah.
had known them all along, but we just felt, my goodness, we got to be there right
Yeah.
now, because now is when you need someone. You don't need the kids clamoring all over you all the time. You need some time, just you and
Yeah.
Jill, to grieve together. And so rather than take the kids to our house, we just thought,
Yeah.
we'll move in. The kids are comfortable here.
Yeah.
They know their routine, and they'll teach us. So, yeah, I remember those days.
Those
and
such strange. I mean, like I was even thought about that from your perspective. It's just like it's such a weird thing, but like
Yeah.
we were so
Yeah.
grateful. Because it wouldn't have made sense for our kids. They were grieving, they were suffering,
Right.
they needed us around, but we were just so overwhelmed. And so you lived with us for the worst 3 days of my life. You were in my
I
home.
know. I know.
But you guys did it with such like friendship and grace, and so just one of those special things for us. Just there's not too many people that are with you in those moments, and they're terrible moments, but also like, boy, we're so grateful for the gift of friendship in those times. And
Well, and it's really hard at times like that. No words are enough, and no words are the right words. And we figured at least we can be here. We don't have to say anything, but we're just going to take those kids and let you have the space that you need. And
and I remember that too, because it was just like you were in the background, but like you were making meals, and
Yeah.
and it was just so helpful. You know what? There's a special grace of being able to be present without having to say anything, and that for us in grief was really important, which was, if you had wanted to talk a whole bunch, I don't know what I would have said.
No, I know.
We could talk now all the time, but like at that time, it was just like, and just filling that gap and being there for our kids. And then eventually that week, our families were able to arrive and kind of relieve you. But just in those few days, boy, that was a special place for us.
And I don't even remember the details, whether we suggested we do this or if you reached out and said, hey, can you give us a hand? I don't even know.
I think we reached. I remember I think Jill and I just recognized, boy, we need some help.
Okay.
And we just thought, well, Den and Sherry have like, you guys have just taken our kids at different times. Our kids are used to you. And so we had our guest bedroom and we're just like, just come and
okay.
And so, I don't know. I just remember you guys were there like the next day and for a few days and just, super helpful to, just cause we, just barely able to survive. And so it was just super helpful to have you guys. And so, but those are like, one of the things I find, Denny, is those moments in life are sacred spaces, and the people that are with you in those, like there's a friendship, a bond that goes. Not that you ever wanted to be in that situation, but the fact that you were willing and able to navigate that with grace was just a real gift to us. And so, well, and I've asked you on the podcast today, because we were having coffee, Sherry and Denny and Jill and I just a few days ago, and walking with you through what you're facing right now. And our podcast, that Kayla and I, we were talking about names, and we came up with Other Side of Hurt, thinking about going through really difficult things and then looking back on those things and trying to find grace and redemption and hope in the middle of the hard things. But you are not on the other side of what you are going through. You are just going right into a very difficult season, and I appreciate your willingness to come on and talk about this. But why don't you tell us a little bit about just the last couple of months, what's transpired in your life and where you find yourself?
I'd like to preface it by saying again, I feel that I have led an incredibly blessed life, and I'm married to, I guess you would say, my high school sweetheart. We didn't know each other. We didn't go to the same school, but Sherry and I have been married for 57 years, and we share everything together. I mean, she's the love of my life, and the two of us have been blessed with an incredible family. I couldn't have three more incredible kids and grandkids, and it just seems that all of our lives, God has been smiling on us and just providing so many good things for us. And the book of James says every good and perfect gift is from above, and we've just seen them come showering down on us. And so I don't like to talk about that with people because not everybody has had that experience, and it sounds like I'm bragging. He hasn't blessed me because I'm such a good guy. I don't know why he's blessed me, but you know what? I want people to know that, hey, the Lord has blessed me. And so you're a very positive person. Like I've seen this in you. You're upbeat. Okay. You are.
I don't know. You're an encouraging person to be around. And you've worked hard. Like, yes, God has blessed you, but you and Sherry are a gift. And so you have had a good and blessed life. Yeah. You've been very fortunate. And
we've had some very, very difficult times. Mm-hmm. When you were a close family, you're going to hurt. You are going to hurt. But it still came as a real shock, 2 months ago. I just woke up having a hoarse voice like I do now. And I thought about that. I thought, well, I didn't holler too much at the Vikings game. I haven't cheered at a basketball game. I haven't done anything to warrant this, so I put it out of my mind. Figured it's just some laryngitis or something. Yeah. But it didn't go away. And so after 2 weeks, I finally thought, not only is my voice weird, but it's getting kind of painful to swallow once in a while. So something's not right. And to make a long story short, we visited a few doctors and had an endoscopy, which was normal. A laryngoscopy was normal. And then they did a CAT scan, which was not normal and showed some surprising things. And so they did a biopsy and found out that, you have cancerous cells in your thyroid. And that still was not real disconcerting to us. It was a scare, but I thought, I feel fine. Yeah. What do we do about this? And they said, at least the doctor said, the good thing is the huge majority, 99% of all the thyroid cancers are very, very amenable to treatment, and they're readily treated. There's just one really rare cancer that doesn't respond well. So they did the biopsy, sent it off to the lab, and the news came back, this is that rare one. This is anaplastic thyroid cancer, which is extremely rare and very aggressive, we were told, and also very difficult to treat. So, again, the Lord really, really worked things out. Since it was aggressive, I had a very, very close friend in surgery in Brainerd, a surgeon, who said, this is a very aggressive cancer. We have got to get on it right now. So regardless of the fact that you have an appointment in Minneapolis in a few weeks, that is not soon enough. So we got scheduled with a specialist, a surgeon in Duluth. And I remember meeting with him on, he called us to come in on Friday. And I think this is 2 days after we got the news about the biopsy results. And he met with us on Friday, and he gave us the grim news. I still remember him saying that he had only seen 7 of these cases in his whole career, and he had never had one survive beyond a year, and most of them were a couple of months. Wow. That came as that was hard. That was really hard. I mean,
and you went from, you've had a pretty healthy.
Oh, I've been totally healthy.
Very healthy all the way up through to having a sore throat to.
And even that day when he told me, even today, I feel great. I can't talk well, but I feel good. And the thought that, you mean I have a cancer that maybe can't be treated, and I might not be around to see the summer? This is really strange. But that was on a Friday, and that surgeon was so concerned, he said, I want you back in my office Monday morning at 6. We're doing surgery. And that was on his day off.
So you got in right away.
We got in right away, and that is not coincidence. Again, the Lord programmed that, and we had a very successful surgery. They took half of my thyroid. They did not dare take the other half. They took 24 lymph nodes, 4 of which had malignant cells, and there's 2 nerves going down into that area, and this one has been destroyed. That's why my vocal cord is the way it is. My speech will not return, but that's a small price to pay. And this is all paralyzed. I have no feeling here, but that doesn't bother me either. So to bring you up to date again, to see how the Lord has orchestrated this, about an hour ago, I got, we have been told we got to have chemo and radiation. You got to do them both, and we got to do it soon. And so my kids, all 3 of them, are very proactive and totally involved in what's going on in my life. They're almost more involved than I am. They're setting things up for me. They're making appointments. So they reached out to 4 really, really high-powered cancer centers in the country, and we were waiting word from all of them. The Mayo, of course, one in New York, one in Boston, one in Houston, and via the phone conversations that my kids have had with them, they're on board with the very same treatment that I would receive here in Brainerd. Okay. That's very comforting to me. I cannot see driving back and forth to Duluth every day for 6.5 weeks. Neither can I envision moving to Houston for 6.5 weeks, or New York. The logistics just are not good for that.
So you get to be home.
I can be home and drive to Brainerd every day. So we anticipated that we would be going through these treatments here. And an hour ago, I got a phone call from radiology in Brainerd that I am to show up there tomorrow for my first radiation. Boy. About 20 minutes after that, I got a call from oncology in Brainerd. I am to show up tomorrow for my first 4-hour chemo treatment also. So tomorrow, I start 6.5 weeks of pretty rigorous treatment. And
can't be looking forward to that. You got to do it. But
in fact, Tristan, it's good you mentioned that. all the doctors have said this is going to be a pretty nasty course of treatment. So when Sherry and I heard that, and we also remembered that this cancer doesn't respond well to treatment, so now we prayed and prayed and prayed. What do? We have two choices to make now. We can just say, you know what, screw it. I'm not going to do any treatment. Yeah. If this 2 months of treatment is going to be miserable and extends my life 3 months, is that worth it? I don't know. Right. I don't know. That was one choice. Just try to really enjoy life right now. Spend time together and with family. The other choice is, okay, suck it up and go through this treatment, because there are some survivors. There are those who have lived way beyond a year with this. It's rare. But we have chosen that path. Yeah. I don't know if God is going to heal me. Who can tell that? Yeah. But the way he has blessed me so far, I know one thing. He has given me peace through this, and I can't imagine that. Yeah. Knowing what I know, that's not to say that we don't have difficult times. I shed a lot of tears yet. It's not easy, but I feel that I'm going to be healed. And if not, well, okay. Yeah. Okay. That's what it is. But tomorrow I'm going to start the treatment, and so I have asked my friends and the people that are asking to pray specifically for two things, in addition that I would be healed. Pray that I would have the strength to go through this treatment for 6.5 weeks. I mean, other people have gone through it. I should be able to do it. Pray that I'm strong enough to withstand this, that it won't be as miserable as it's been made out to be. And even a simple one, I don't like the thought of having to have a feeding tube. They say that's fairly likely because the radiation is going to be right here on my trachea and the esophagus both. So just pray that I don't even need that. I mean, that would be a small thing, but it's a big thing to me. So that's where we are.
That's a lot.
Hey, a lot of people go through cancer. I can't say that this is unique. It's just, why did I have to get this really rare one that is so nasty? But on the other hand, what if I can come through this and be able to share the story and to tell people, man, the Lord has done this and this and this and this, and he's still doing it. Maybe that's what God has in mind, but I can't use that to bribe God and say, hey, Lord, you know what? You heal me, boy, I'm going to be very vocal. I mean,
well, I know.
I've tried to be vocal all my life. I've tried to, to praise the Lord with whatever I'm doing. So I'm going to continue doing that.
Yeah. And I know you well enough to know that you're going to trust him, whatever comes. Yeah. But some things are easier to trust him in than others. And you said something, I've talked about this, Denny, of like, there was a time, I think, when we lost Maria where you can ask the question very easily, why us? Why was she the 1 in 100,000 case? Right. Like we don't get to determine those, but I can turn right around and say, well, why have we had so many other healthy children? Like we have a really good and fortunate life. Like,
yes,
you take the hard and the good together by the providence of God, the best that you can. And I know you're saying that in that you are facing very difficult things, but you've had a good life and you have a wonderful wife. You and I definitely married up in the world for sure, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Sherry's delightful. You've got great kids, and yet this sucks. It's painful. It's difficult, and I'm honored you just come and have a conversation. We didn't know your treatment was going to be starting tomorrow until an hour ago, but I feel like we're here like at the next stage of this development. You're diving in. I'm glad we could share today because I'm sure starting in the next few days, you're not going to want to come and talk to me, but
what if 2 years from now we could do another podcast and say, you know what? In fact, I told the surgeon this because he said, nobody has lived beyond a year. And I said, you know what, Dr. Zadie, 2 years from now, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to show you a picture of a fish that I just caught. And, Dr. Zadie is an incredible surgeon and a doctor who seems so much on my side. And he is just so concerned and personable. And I don't know if he's a believer, but we're praying for him too. And he's done wonders for me. So.
Well, we'll put you on the schedule for 2 years from now. All right, I'm
Let's
going to hold
do
you
that.
to that. We'll definitely we'll circle back, and that'll be a good day. No, I think the positive news for you is, even though this is such a rare and aggressive cancer, they did get on it very quickly.
Yes.
The surgery, like I know the surgeon said, it went pretty well, all things considered.
Yes.
A lot of people, I think you told me this, that a lot of people that are diagnosed with this don't even get to the point of having surgery.
That's correct.
So you do have a few things to at least scientifically hope in on these things,
Sure.
along with the Lord helping you.
And the Lord uses science.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's all him. Dr. Zadie said he did not dare get the rest of the cancer. He got every last bit that he felt he could, because he didn't want me to have to go into the trachea and ruin that too. So that's why we got to do the chemo and the radiation. There's still some cancer cells left there. Okay. And there's a couple of spots in one lung that I think they may want to look at too. But the surgery went really, really well. I was put in touch, actually Mike did it for me in all his research. He found several people who have survived this, and there's a small group of them that call themselves the Band of Brothers, and one of them sent me several little bracelets saying faith, not fear. And these guys are all believers. They've all been brought through anaplastic thyroid cancer, and one of them has been alive for 5 years. And so it's kind of a group it's a support group. And we email each other, text each other, whatever.
Great.
And to know that, hey, people can survive this, then why not me?
Yeah.
That's
good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure for you, the last couple of months have been a roller coaster. There's some good news, bad news, good news, very difficult news. And
I think I'm handling it better than Sherry is. Yeah. She has tougher times with it, especially at night. We both seem to fall asleep really readily, but she'll often awaken at 2 or 3, and that's when the bad thoughts come, and it's understandable. She trusts the Lord. She knows that. She's just such a devout believer, but we're humans. And so those bad thoughts, whether they're from the devil or not, I don't know. They're just, they tend to come once in a while, but it hasn't been so much of a roller coaster for me. I'm just amazed that I have been as upbeat as I am. Once the treatment starts, I might be willing to say, oh man, let's just bag this. Let's quit this. I can't handle it. But I'm praying against that. I want to get through this.
Well, it's understandable. Sherry loves you, and it's we will go through hard things. We will have suffering. It's not because of our lack of faith. It's not because of our own personal failures. We will bear our crosses, and so I think it's understandable that your family loves you and cares for you, and they want more time with you, and so the sleepless nights, I think that's a common thing, and it's understandable. But it doesn't mean that she doesn't have faith. It's just
No. Yeah. But again, even there, how the Lord is working there, we had 4 families, very close friends, come up a week ago and pray over us. They drove 150 miles. They're part of a Bible study group that we were in back in Wilmer. And those ladies have agreed to be on Sherry's side big time. And so she's got those 4 ladies on her phone in a group, and any time, middle of the night, middle of the day, whenever she gets those shakes, those bad thoughts, bad feelings, she just hits a button and texts all four, and immediately they pray for her at that point. They don't call her. They don't have to know any details. They just know, okay, right now Sherry's hurting.
Really
we're going to
walking
pray.
with her.
I mean, again,
Yeah.
that's again how the Lord has provided for us. We have support. Man, we got support.
Yeah.
More than I can believe.
That's great. I mean,
Yeah.
and we all need it in these times.
Everybody
don't we?
needs
Just
that.
friendship
you know?
and people that care for us, and
Yeah.
good. I'm really glad to hear that for Sherry,
Yeah.
especially because some of the time it's harder to be the one who's walking with
I
your
know.
loved one, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's granted not to minimize what you're going to be facing and what you are facing, but to love someone and not be able to do anything,
Yeah.
to not be able to fix it is a hard road.
Well, this might sound silly, but I'll bet you there are people out there who've done the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Sherry and I have prayed for all the time that, okay, Lord, when it's time to go, could you take the two of us together? But then I have prayed, Lord, if that doesn't happen, take Sherry first.
What? Wait. Are you allowed to say that? Okay.
Because I don't want her to go through so much hurt,
Fair enough.
because I know how much she loves me
Yeah.
and how much hurt she would have.
Yeah.
And same thing for me, but I'd rather spare her the hurt.
Yeah.
And I'll bet you there's other people that have prayed that way.
Oh man.
If you really love your spouse.
That sounds like a very selfish thing to say, but where you're
I
coming
know,
from, it's not.
I know.
It's not because in some ways it is. When you've been married for so long, and you loved so well.
Yeah.
It's far harder to be the one left behind.
It is.
It's far harder to watch your spouse suffer and go through great change.
We've seen so many widows and widowers. We see what they're going through, and
Yeah.
we don't want that.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
it's actually a very loving thing to say. Yeah, you do want to be the couple that goes at the same time.
I know.
We had that. There's a old couple. I won't say their names because I don't want to. but you know who I'm talking about. An old couple at
our age, you mean?
No, much older. Like they were up there, and he was getting like to where driving was a real problem, and
Okay.
you knew I think you're gonna know who I'm talking about. And they were getting to the point where she was in the nursing home for a while, and he was still out driving, but he shouldn't have been driving, and everybody was concerned. And they both died within 24 hours of each other.
Yeah.
Like very suddenly, they just both went, and it was such a grace, like because
Yep.
either of them without the other would have been a danger to society.
Yeah,
I think.
no
And-
doubt, no doubt. That's
and we just
so
thought
cool.
like we did it was the first double funeral I think I've ever done, and
Yeah.
what a grace. But I don't think that's a common thing. I don't think.
No,
and-
it's
and-
not.
And the Lord does. I mean, one of the things we know is like in our suffering, what may, whatever happens, He uses our crosses for other people. So even when we reschedule our podcast, you're gonna have some good stories to
Yeah.
share, and it'll encourage people, help people. But I'm sure it won't be all. I'm sure your story, 2 years from now, won't be like, oh, it's been easy.
No.
It's a lot. It's the hard things that
Yeah.
in hindsight, like really do help others. And even when it comes to grief and loss, He uses us in
Yeah.
these things and the difficult things. So
Well, and to be honest, I have felt close to the Lord for a long, long, long time. I mean, that's kind of my nature. Some of the people in the boat with me are probably shocked and also a little put off by it. I mean, when I catch a good fish, I just say, Lord, thank you. And then some of these guys are looking at me, what do you mean? But I mean, that's the way I feel. Okay. And so, even now during this really difficult time, this could go two ways. I could become bitter and really get angry with God. I've been angry with God before.
Sure.
I haven't been angry with him during this episode. I don't know why, but I honestly feel this has brought me closer to him. I think my faith has grown, and maybe I'm not going to live much longer. I don't know that, but I just really feel close to the Lord at this time. So I didn't go the other way. That was good.
That's good. Because it can go either way.
It can.
But because I've met plenty of people that become embittered, but it seems to me though that the trajectory of our lives prepare us for these moments. If you've been bitter for a lot of years, you're most likely going to become more bitter. If you're receiving the difficult things and the blessings from God, then hopefully you can draw closer to Him in these hard times. And some of the time, the suffering is really what sanctifies us. It really, brings to the surface good things. Not that the suffering is good, obviously, but He does work in these times, and He clearly is in you. And I appreciate your faith and encouragement, and yet it's a hard road ahead. So we definitely are going to be walking with you, praying for you every day. And
but the other good thing, and this is really small, this is minor, but being the outdoorsman that I am, and really passionate about being in the outdoors, this came at the perfect time, didn't it? Because
February,
when I finished treatment around the 1st of April, Lord willing, if I get through this, the ice should be ready to go off our lakes.
Perfect.
And I might be starting to feel good enough that Sherry and I can get out for those springtime crappies. I mean, I can't hunt this time of year. I can't fish. What good is, I might as well go through this now. If I were going through this in June and July, that'd be a bummer.
You would be hard to live with, I think, at that time. So I guess maybe
Sherry
it's the
would
moral.
not-
If you're going to get like serious life-threatening cancer, do it in February. Is that
is that the moral here? Yeah.
I don't know. No, that's good. Well, and hey, spring is something definitely to look forward to, and we'll just be looking forward to. We'll have to go fishing together.
We have to do that. We have to do that.
We'll have to get out. So
Yeah.
no, well, anything else you're thinking about or wrestling with in these times? I appreciate you coming on and just sharing. Like we care about you guys deeply and are so appreciative of you, and I just hope, like I just said, like maybe if we have a conversation, this will help other people who are facing really difficult things.
I hope that's what it can do. I mean, it's not about us. It's not about me.
Well, and the reality is everybody's going to go through something, right?
Oh yeah.
You've had a long and fortunate life. You have a good family. You have a great wife.
Yeah.
And yet here we are, and this is
Is it right to expect only good things to happen in your life? I've lived a long time, So, God has seen me through some really, really difficult times, but He has just blessed so much, and He's blessing now.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, it's totally in His hands. And the other here's the thing that I think about. The Scripture says the prayers of a righteous man really avails much. Now, I have thousands of people praying for me, many of whom are devout, strong Christians. Do I have a right to think that because of that, God is going to heal me? I honestly don't know. But you got to take the promises of Scripture too. You have to. There's just so much in Scripture that is not easily understood. I keep asking for wisdom. Please, Lord, I want to understand this. What does this mean in your word? How do I take this? Is this to be taken literally or not? And I don't have that wisdom. He doesn't give that to me. But with that many people praying so often for me, is God going to honor that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tough. I think, we do trust. We hang on in faith, and God is not beholden to us. So there is something to be said there, but at the same time, I think there is great reason to hope. And I think like your attitude in this is already it's a sign of His provision in your life. You're not saying, God, if you don't heal me, I'm going to abandon you, or you're not giving conditions. You're trusting regardless. He will bless you one way or the other, right? He'll be with you, and I think you have good reason to hold on in faith.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't have answers either, Denny. There you go. I think this whole podcast is like talking about things that we know nothing about, and I've got nothing worthwhile to say other than.
But I appreciate you, though. I mean, you you've been my friend, but also my pastor for, I don't know, 15 years.
Yeah, probably.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And you said you're no longer my pastor, but you still are my pastor.
Right.
Remember that.
That's right. Well, yeah, one of the contexts is you're young. Mark's your youngest, right?
Yes.
Youngest son just came and is the new pastor at Riverview Church. So he and Lori just moved here from Wisconsin, which so Jill and I couldn't be more excited about this because we know Mark and Lori to some degree, not like super duper well, but like we're so grateful that they're there. And so with them being the new pastor at Riverview, I've had to pull back. I'm like, I'm not a pastor anymore, but I did say that for you and Sherry, sure, because you don't want your son being your pastor or something.
No,
so.
Mark cannot be our counselor, our pastor through tough times.
You can't have a pastor who you change their diapers or something like that, right?
There you go. Yes. So yeah. Sherry and I will still come to you as our counselor. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, we're honored to walk with you guys and definitely praying for you.
Yeah.
And so, and thanks for coming on. Like, I know this is not easy. You're going through, you're not on the other side in any way.
No,
like most of the people we're talking to on this, you are right in the middle of it. But I thought before you dive in, it'd be good to have a conversation.
Yep.
And,
I am probably feeling better right now than I will at any time in the next 2 months, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, we'll be in touch, and man, we'll look forward to that day where you come back on and give us all an update. And
we would like that.
We're looking forward to that.
Good.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks
for coming on.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Hey, everybody. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of our podcast. Please share and like and subscribe to be a part of the Other Side of Hurt community. Also, if you are somebody who has recently suffered the loss of a child, or if you know of a family, we are going to link to our website, Smile Again Grief Ministries, below. And we would love to connect with you to see if there's anything we can do as we walk together in some of the most difficult things that families go through. God bless you.